Welcome to this B2 English listening practice. In today's story, you'll listen to a realistic situation about work, career choices, and personal change. You'll follow Emma, a professional who starts to question her comfortable life and has to make an important decision about her future. Try to relax, listen carefully, and focus on understanding the general meaning rather than every single word. Hello, and welcome. Today, I'd like to share a story about Emma, a marketing consultant who thought she had everything figured out. Sometimes life has other ideas. Emma had been working at the same advertising agency in London for nearly 8 years. She'd started as a junior copywriter straight out of university, and over time, she'd worked her way up to senior consultant. The job paid well, her colleagues were friendly enough, and she'd developed a comfortable routine. Every morning, she'd catch the 7:45 train into the city, grab a coffee from the same cafe near the office, and spend her days creating campaigns for various clients. But lately, something had changed. Emma found herself staring out of the window during meetings, wondering if this was really what she wanted to be doing for the rest of her career. Her best friend Sarah had noticed it too. Over dinner one evening, Sarah asked her directly, "Are you actually happy, or are you just comfortable?" The question stayed with Emma long after they'd said goodbye that night. A few weeks later, Emma's company announced they were merging with a larger firm. Her manager, David, called her into his office to explain what this would mean for the team. He told her that while her position was secure, she'd be expected to relocate to their Manchester office within 6 months. The company would cover all moving expenses, and they were even offering a small pay increase to compensate for the disruption. Most people would have considered it good news. Manchester was an exciting city, and the promotion was definitely attractive. Emma's parents thought she'd be crazy to turn it down. "It's a fantastic opportunity," her mother said when Emma mentioned it over the phone. "You'd be foolish not to take it." Her father agreed, reminding her that job security wasn't something to take lightly these days. But Emma couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't the right path for her anymore. She'd been thinking about making a change for months, even before the merger was announced. She'd always loved photography and had been taking weekend courses for the past 2 years. Her Instagram account, where she shared photos of London street life, had gained quite a following. Almost 15,000 people were now regularly viewing her work. One Saturday afternoon, Emma was photographing a vintage market in Shoreditch when a woman approached her. The woman introduced herself as Rachel, the owner of a small creative agency that specialized in visual content for lifestyle brands. Rachel explained that she'd been following Emma's photography online and was impressed by her eye for detail and composition. She asked if Emma had ever considered doing photography professionally. They ended up talking for over an hour. Rachel's agency was looking for someone who understood both marketing and visual storytelling. It would mean taking a significant pay cut initially, at least 30% less than what Emma was currently earning. The role would also be freelance for the first year, with no guarantee of full-time employment afterwards. It was risky. There was no denying that. Emma went home that evening with Rachel's business card in her pocket and 100 thoughts running through her mind. She made a list of pros and cons, as she always did when facing a difficult decision. On one side, financial security, career progression, her parents' approval. On the other, creative fulfillment, flexibility, the chance to do something she genuinely loved. She called Sarah, who listened patiently while Emma talked through everything. "What does your gut tell you?" Sarah asked. Emma admitted that every time she imagined accepting the Manchester position, she felt a tightness in her chest. But when she thought about working with Rachel's agency, despite all the uncertainty, she felt excited. The deadline for confirming the Manchester move was approaching. Emma requested a meeting with David to discuss her options. She'd rehearsed what she wanted to say, but when she sat down in his office, the words came out differently than she'd planned. She explained that she was grateful for the opportunity, but that she'd decided to pursue a different direction in her career. David was surprised but understanding. He told her that if she changed her mind within the next month, the offer would still stand. He also mentioned that he'd always thought she seemed more passionate about her photography than her marketing work. "I've seen your Instagram," he admitted with a smile. "You're really talented." Emma handed in her notice the following week. Her parents were concerned, her colleagues were shocked, and Emma herself felt terrified and exhilarated in equal measure. She'd given up a secure, well-paid position for something completely uncertain. What if it didn't work out? What if she'd made a terrible mistake? The first few months of freelancing were harder than she'd expected. There were weeks when she barely earned enough to cover her rent. She had to move to a smaller flat and cut back on luxuries she'd taken for granted. Her parents offered to help financially, but Emma was determined to make it work on her own. Gradually, though, things began to improve. Rachel's agency gave her more regular work, and other clients started contacting her directly after seeing her portfolio. She was working longer hours than she ever had at the advertising agency, but somehow it felt different. She was tired, yes, but it was the kind of tiredness that came from doing something meaningful. Year after leaving her corporate job, Emma was earning almost as much as she had before, though her income was less predictable. More importantly, she woke up each morning feeling excited about the day ahead. She'd recently been commissioned to document a story about independent businesses in East London, something that combined her marketing background with her photography skills perfectly. Looking back, Emma realized that the merger announcement had been exactly the push she'd needed. If the company hadn't tried to relocate her, she might have stayed in that comfortable but unfulfilling job for years. Sometimes the universe has a way of creating situations that force us to make decisions we've been avoiding. Emma's story didn't have a dramatic ending. She didn't become a world-famous photographer or start earning enormous amounts of money. But she'd chosen a path that felt authentic to who she was, rather than who she thought she should be. And for Emma, that made all that difference. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this B2 English listening and want to improve your comprehension naturally, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to like the video and share it with anyone who is learning English at an intermediate or upper intermediate level. New listening practice videos are uploaded regularly to help you improve step by step.